I'm David Ferriero, the Archivist of the United States here at Dartmouth, to speak to the staff and friends of the libraries about the National Archives, where I have been the archivist, 10th Archivist of the United States since November 2009. Let me tell you a little bit about the archives. We are the record keeper of the government. All of the records created by the 275 agencies and the White House and Congress and the Supreme Court are housed at the National Archives. 44 facilities around the country, a collection of about 12 billion pages at the moment, more and more being created electronically. So we're shifting from paper to electronic communication, especially social media, a lot of use of Twitter and Facebook and all kinds of new and emerging technologies that make it a challenge to capture the records of the government. So the United States got a late start in creating the archives. It didn't happen until the Franklin Roosevelt administration. The doors of the archives in Washington opened in 1935. So it's amazing that we have what we have from pre-1935. The records were stored all over D.C. in basements and attics and garages, subject to theft and fire and flood and all kinds of horrible things. But the records start with the Journals of the Continental Congress and go up through the tweets that are being created in the White House today. Those are the records of the government, and that's what we're responsible for. So let me tell you a couple of my favorite records. The Charters of Freedom, of course, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights are housed in the main building at 700 Pennsylvania Avenue. So it's amazing that the Charters of Freedom actually survived, because the night before the British burned the town, Dolly Madison reminded her husband that it would be important to remove those documents, and they were rolled up and spirited into the mountains of Virginia just to protect them. Some of my personal favorites are a wonderful letter from Annie Oakley to President William McKinley offering to raise a troop of 50 sharpshooter women who would supply their own rifles and ammunition to fight the Spanish-American War. A wonderful letter from a 10-year-old boy in Cuba, Havana, Cuba, to FDR, asking for a $10 bill. He'd never seen an American green $10 bill, and if FDR would send him a $10 bill, he would show him where the ore deposits are in Cuba so he could build his ships. It's a letter from Fidel Castro. Wonderful letter that Walt Whitman, during the Civil War, Walt Whitman worked in the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and when I became archivist and discovered that I have responsibility for civilian personnel records, anyone who ever worked in the government, I asked to see Walt Whitman's personnel record, and in it is a 4-page letter, reference letter. He was applying for another job in government, written by Ralph Waldo Emerson. So the records of the country are amazing, extensive, and entertaining, and surprising.